How is it possible that we hear nothing about Kyrie Irving being an asshole? Nothing. He's not
Someone's
distributing
gotten
copies
into
of Mein Kampf courtside anymore. Wearing like a Das Boot shirt. Fucking asshole of a human being. But, Jesus.
Someone got to him, like either age. I'm sure he has kids by now. Being an adult, whatever has got something happened because it's night and day. Like it's so funny. People are trying to compliment him, and I wanted to criticize him, and then I thought, I'm like, wait, that's true. I haven't heard anything. I didn't even know he was still playing, so he must be quiet.
He's as quiet and respectful as Mike Conley would be.
Yes.
Right? A guy that never has been immersed in any controversy in his lifetime, going all the way back to his days at Ohio State.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Morning, everybody. Great to be with you on this. Turns out to be a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Tuesday after a long weekend. And we weren't with you on Friday, so it was like 4 days away. Good to be back with you guys again. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubitz here on the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. And, of course, portions of the program are subject to being rebroadcast on 5 Reasons Sports Network, where you can also find this, especially if we're talking... is that still happening with 5 Reasons, Lubie, where it's almost exclusively Miami Heat based and anything else? I mean, if we're talking about any other aspect of sport, you look at the viewership, it's like 0.0, Plutarski. And then you say something about the Heat, anything. Hey, is it possible the Heat could get Durant? Some total bullshit speculation that is never going to come to pass. And there you go. Although LeBron now in the mix, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Does LeBron make a comeback? I'm surprised the Heat haven't been connected to LeBron James because Rich Paul has announced that free agency for LeBron James.
Oh, yeah.
Going to explore free agency. Where is he going to end up? I mean, is this all, under the auspices of trying to team up with his son? I'm not sure. I don't even know if that's a good thing, is it? I know LeBron might want it, but if you were Bronny James, would you really want to be so completely immersed in the shadow of your father that your rookie season in the NBA, if that indeed is what comes about, is all about being very much buried in the shadow of a very imposing shadow of LeBron James being maybe in his final season? What do you think?
I mean, he's a borderline player, so yes, him being with his dad is actually horrendous for him because he needs to go somewhere that's going to develop him. And if he's just following, or his dad's following him, his dad's going to get all the shine. And the minute his dad's gone, they'll probably just let him go. Like, he actually being somewhere because of his dad is fine for his start. It's not fine for his long-lasting legacy. The whole thing's weird. I don't understand why LeBron would ever have said it. And now the fact that he's like a mid to late second round pick, like if someone takes him in the late first round, it's 100% because of LeBron. And LeBron will play 1 year and then be done. And then what happens with Bronny, like, to me, and the kid actually, the things he's good at are things you can make an NBA career at. He can hit an open three and he can defend really well. He's not that tall, but okay, so you make him a guard, wing guy that we've seen those guys get better and grow and turn into NBA players. But with the shadow of LeBron hanging over you, like, I just don't.
You imagine? That would be annoying, wouldn't it?
I think it's weird. He wanted him to be called Bronny so that he wasn't in his shadow. And then by trying to help him, I think he hurt him in a lot of ways.
Well, that was a big departure from LeBron. They called the kid Bronny.
Yeah, it's so different.
He could have just named him, Joe or Steve or something.
It's different.
Rick?
Like, what are you doing?
Rick James, that would have worked. All right, but anyway, so that's out there, and the Miami Heat naturally are always going to attract attention there on Ethan Skolnick's site, but they've been OOP, as they say in dog racing, out of picture. The Celtics very much in the picture. We saw a lot of basketball over the weekend, a lot of hockey. Yep. Huge game tonight, a pivotal game 4 coming up in the Panthers-Rangers series. You would have to assume that pivotal is an applicable way to describe what is going on in that series. In fact, every shot seems to be somewhat pivotal. The Panthers outshoot the Rangers, not shots on goal, which were already exorbitantly in favor of the Florida Panthers in that game 3, but they fired over 100 shots altogether in that game to 40-something for the Rangers. Can you imagine? You talk about the aggression not paying off. And yet Shesterkin made a couple of fabulous saves late in the game on what were point-blank shots. Bobrovsky, not quite as efficient. And we've noticed a trend there with Bobrovsky. I mean, am I alone in this? It seems like everybody's picked up on it, that For some reason, anything over the shoulder,
Sucks.
Bobrovsky is a very, very suspect goaltender.
Sucks.
Everything high. I mean, it's like he's doing the butterfly with Dominic Hasek down low. He's making sensational saves. And then all of a sudden, whoop, there it goes. Sails right in over his shoulder.
Stupidest goals. That's my problem with him. Look, he's actually playing well. He's not what he was when he first got here, but he had the one great game. But if you watch him, even the games they win, he's giving up a couple stupid ass goals. Look, I get the first 2 goals in game 3 were tough goals. I get it, like fine, but the last 2 weren't. Like the other one wasn't even a shot on goal, and I get it. The overtime one wasn't an easy thing for a goalie to read. That was really
you can't hold that against him. That was just a fluke. I mean, the guy never scores. It hits him square, not on the blade of the stick, but right in the middle of the stick. He's standing in front of the goaltender, and so you already had like a slight screening element, but I mean, it hits his stick and goes straight down over into the corner of the net. I couldn't pin that on Bobrovsky. That was just fluke, dumb luck.
No, that was on the defense. Like you shouldn't have. It wasn't even a shot on goal. The guy was just throwing it in, which teams do all the time, and you clear it. And the Panthers had been really good at getting guys out of the middle, and they just let him. Like you don't let him get a clean stick on the puck. I don't.
It didn't really though. I mean, the puck would have hit him in the face just as easily as it hit him in the stick.
Barely hit the stick. Yeah,
that was one of the luckier goals you'll see, especially at a time where the Panthers had gathered all the momentum in that game. That third period domination was something. It was amazing that they weren't able to pull that out. But you do have Game 4 coming up tonight. The Panthers are favored in this game. I was just reading some synopsis, a little analysis here. Sticking with the blue shirts by a guy named Michael LaBeouf, who has been handicapping for this Action Sports. And he says, take the Rangers. They're getting plus 140 right now. Take the Rangers at plus 135 or higher if you can find it. And it seems like it's readily available to you, with most people thinking the Panthers will make amends for an unfortunate lack of results in terms of the lopsided shot attempts and shots on goal, and yet they end up on the short end of that 5-4 score. 2 overtime losses in a row. Could just as easily, Lubie, as we always say, be up 3-0 in the series.
Yes.
And awaiting the winner of the Stars in Edmonton, which went 2-1 Stars last night after the Stars were down 2-0 on the road against Edmonton, and they come back. They get 3 goals in the second period. It ends up knotted up at 3 apiece. Edmonton gets a late goal in that game in the second period, and then the Stars managed to put it away in the third period with the empty netter clinching a 5-3 victory, 2-1 advantage for the Dallas Stars, who we had mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Lubie. Another one of these hockey handicappers was saying unload on the Stars when they were down 0-2 in the opening series, losing the first 2 games on their home ice to the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I wish now, I'm living vicariously through this imaginary bet, but I wish I had done it, right? Because you probably got just an incredible price on the Dallas Stars.
Well, because
down 2-0 in the opening series after losing the first 2 at home to win the Stanley Cup. They were life and death to get out of that series, in the opinion of many, and they managed to do it. So interesting stuff. It's been a bloodbath all the way around for the Florida Panthers. What about this? This popped up on social media. I remember being stunned. I went to a Panther game. I guess the last one I went to was over a year ago, and I get into the parking lot. Now, I used to have, for many years, I drove a Lexus, so you had the freebie parking with the Lexus parking lot that they had at what is now at the Merritt Bank Center. And so, I never had any difficult. I just waved at a person. You roll right into the Lexus lot. They would point you in, and it was close to the building, and it was great. Then, of course, switched cars, and so I'm driving my Volkswagen into the parking lot there about a year ago, and had to pay. And not only can you not pay cash, you have to whip out a credit card, but it was $30 to park. And I thought, wow, that is a sock in the balls, isn't it? I mean, you feel like that guy Lively. Did you see that, where he got kneed right in the balls from the Dallas Mavericks? As I forget who it was that was going up for the shot, but it might have been Karl Anthony Towns. I think it was. Lubie, did you see this play? Where Towns knees Lively right in the balls, and then later Lively had to leave because he ended up having his neck knocked out of the socket there as he was trying to make a defensive play. But, I thought I got hit right in the balls there. And for the playoffs, all right, you're going to juice it. What would you say the juice should be, playoff parking? If they're charging $30 for a regular season game, which is already obnoxious, what do you think?
40 to
50?
50, I guess. I don't know. I think it's insane. I just go to fucking Sawgrass.
Supposedly, Sawgrass, they're now
I
all of a
wondered
sudden
if
a
they
little
were
bit more
starting to
strict
get
about it.
Yeah, what I'm curious is how do they know Sawgrass stays open till, especially the movie theater, and they're not going to restrict your parking at Sawgrass for the movie theater. So I don't even know. I always wondered how they would even try to limit that. I know in the past they sort of tried, and they watched people walking over, and then they try to take. But they can't. There's no signs at Sawgrass saying you can't park here. There's none. I've been going to Sawgrass my whole life.
And they got plenty of room. They shouldn't bellyache, right?
Well, that's the thing is like look, plenty of people do they'll still go there and pay. So I guess that's why they just.
What if you stopped in a restaurant at the Sawgrass Mall, parked there, and then went to the game? Supposedly, though, they're putting boots on cars and towing cars and doing all kinds of crazy shit now with that Sawgrass thing. Even though there's no warning, they used to. This was one of the more unusual things going back a few years ago. They used to actually, and I thought this was highly unusual. They had police actually guiding you into the illegal parking. Remember that, Lubie? Where there'd be a cop directing traffic, and he was guiding everybody in to park at the Sawgrass. And I thought, well, that's pretty strange. They're acknowledging that everybody is dodging this ridiculous parking fee. And at that time, I think it was only $20, $75 to park at the Panther game. 75, Lubie. No cash allowed. You got to put that on your credit card. If your credit card can't handle $75 right now, then well, you probably aren't going to the game anyway. But still, that is just criminal activity, is it not? $75 to park your car. You're out $75 as you drive up to the arena. Absolutely ridiculous. And then to walk away disappointed like the fans did. Although they saw a very exciting hockey game. That was one of the better games that we've seen in the NHL playoffs. Very, very exciting. You know what's weird, Lubie? I went outside for a little while trying to test out the torn Achilles. So I took a little walk in between the final buzzer there on the third period and the overtime. And when I came back, it was it took me a while because I'm walking around like Chester from Gunsmoke, and I hear the raucous roar of the crowd, and I thought, wow, the Panthers won, and sure enough, it was the Rangers.
Yeah.
That's insane. That only happens in South Florida, huh? Where you get a totally deflating, possibly series swinging goal by the opposition, and the people are going crazy in the stands. They're absolutely loving it. I really thought the Panthers had scored. It was one of those things where you couldn't imagine that was the crescendo of noise that was reached for the opposition, just taking the air right out of the balloon there and causing everybody to go home from that afternoon game in a little bit of a state of misery. All right, so that was happening, and it goes again tonight. Panthers favored in this one. I don't know if you call it heavily, but you do have to lay, I think, 160 to win 100. 165 to win 100 on the Panthers, almost 3-2. That's a little prohibitive, isn't it, Lubie? Wouldn't it be worth taking a shot? They're tempting you to take a shot with the Rangers here.
Yeah, probably. I mean, look, the Panthers should win because they are the desperate team, but they playing aggressive and desperate has actually not been their issue this series. I mean, there's some in the Boston series, but this series they've outplayed the Rangers the entire. Look, the first period they fucked around and then they got down by 4-2, but they outshot them the whole game. They controlled the puck most of the game. They were the aggressor most of the game. They just can't get it in the fucking net, and that's been sort of their issue. Outside of the two middle games versus Boston, they've struggled to score more than 2 goals in every game. They got 4 to just tie it in this one, but they've had issues getting it in the net, and the other teams haven't. And again, whether it's their defense, whatever it is, they give up stupid ass goals, and that will doom you in the playoffs. Like, you can't give up those kind of goals, and that's what scares the living shit out of me. Like, this team has been good. They played really well in every phase. They've been coached. They're not lethargic. They're not fucking around. They just lose. Like, they just lose. And so I don't know what to do with the Panthers. They should win tonight. They should win the series. They, like I said, outside of goalie, they've been better in every aspect. Like, they almost double shot them. Like, you were doing your job there, and that's been almost the case in every game. Like, there was, I guess,
they fired over 100 shots compared to like 40.
You can't
Those were not shots on goal, but shots overall. They had over 100 shots. There was like a 60 shot differential. Talking about the aggression there. It's been, it's interesting, but tonight you would have to consider to be highly pivotal, no? if the Panthers can't win. I don't know why I'm feeling like the Panthers are going to just waltz through this one tonight, and that you think the Rangers are at the point where they kind of got the advantage of all of the luck that you could possibly have. Shostarkin's been excellent. He made some great stops at the end there, where unfortunately, Bobrovsky has a tendency to give up every now and then what you would call a soft goal. Always high, though, always over the shoulders. This guy's got something going on there where if they shoot the puck high, this was in the previous series, too. Anytime they shot the puck high over the shoulder, impossible shots would go in against Bobrovsky. Anything on the ice, guy's got it smothered. So
it's just he's actually fantastic at some of the craziest shit.
Yeah.
But if they get any air under it at the net, he has no idea where it's going. Like he just does that stupid ass fucking thing. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, dude, it's already in the net.
Where to go? He thinks it's in the crowd and it's in the net. But that's been great. All right, the basketball world shaken by the passing of Bill Walton. I did not know that he had cancer. Did you?
Now, look, he had stopped doing stuff and he was doing occasional games late night, but I always thought that was because of how he calls a game, because he never talks about the game. Yeah. He talks about anything but the game. And even when he talks about the players, it's always about like, yeah, I knew Johnny in his high school days out in West Coast. His father Sid's a good man, and his mother Mary makes a mean vanilla cream pie. It's like
she's making that cream spinach right now, and I wish I had a mouthful.
Like he never talked about the game, so I thought that's why he was doing less games. I didn't realize he was actually ill. Like he did some stuff at the Pac-12 network this last season. I remember Ken talking about it because Ken, like us, like Bill Walton because he's so different than any other announcer ever.
Completely different. Yeah, no, I mean, it got to the point where if he was doing the game, you kept watching even if you didn't give a shit about the game, which is a rare. I mean, for all of the money that they're paying Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to do those Monday Night Football games, does it change your desire to watch or listen to the game? Not at all. In fact, they even put a better show on competing against it with the Manning cast. So here you've got these $30 million a game announcers, and they're encouraging you to watch something else. Walton, it was just the opposite for me. He could have been doing the most obscure game. It could have been a blowout. I'd still stay tuned in just to hear what Walton was going to say and how he was going to treat it. Of course, his fandom and worship of the Grateful Dead and loyalty to the Grateful Dead was certainly unique among announcers. You don't see Gus Johnson probably about to wear like a tie-dyed shirt and even take it off and attend 1,000 Dead concerts. So I've had Grateful Dead songs going through my head ever since that news came down. But that hit me like a ton of bricks. I had no idea that Bill Walton was even ill. I'm thinking I just saw him doing games like not that long ago.
He did stuff in the Pac-12 tournament. He was doing games and he was doing women's games because he was a big fan of just the game overall. I always thought it was great. Like the way you talk about Shula meeting Mandich, but then Mandich became like very conservative most of his life after that. Like Walton was not that. They always show the images of like Walton and John Wooden like becoming close, but it never made sense because Wooden was very old school and very conservative. Now he supposedly was open-minded, as we heard later in his years, but as a coach,
he was open-minded especially after Walton went 21 for 22 in a national championship game.
Very
conservative. That was also at the time where didn't they take the dunk out of college basketball? Was it because of Walton? Or
no,
Kareem?
I thought it was because of Kareem.
Kareem, yeah. Was Walton also victimized by that rule, which was a stupid rule, and the fans hated it because they loved the slam dunk. But any time you have a dunk where a guy is being contested, it's going to be the highlight. Maybe the number one play on SportsCenter is what was the case with Anthony Edwards and that dunk that he had the other night in the game against the Mavericks. But he was for me a pleasure. People that make you feel better about life and make you feel like, hey, you know what? I got to get with it, man. I got to wipe this scowl off my face and stop being embittered by things when I've had one of the luckiest existences of anybody out there, and just to enjoy yourself. Take a deep breath and enjoy yourself. He seemed to project that anytime that you heard him. Everybody that came in contact with him, I had of all the kind of superstar athletes, that we've come across, had no. I don't think I ever personally had an interview one-on-one or any of those Radio Row type of situations with Bill Walton. I do believe that we had him on the phone a couple of times over the 40 some odd years I've been doing this. And just always was a pleasure to have somebody that could project that kind of positive outlook on life and have you just be appreciated for being who you are. And so, yeah, definitely going to miss Bill Walton. And I was surprised that was kind of like the Kobe helicopter crash, wasn't it? Where you get the text that says Bill Walton checked out, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that it was weird because I didn't hear anything at all about him being ill. Like he was a guy that we know was hippy dippy, but supposedly took really good care of himself, was big into nature and eating right and all that other
And he
stuff.
seemed fine. I mean, we just saw that luckiest man in the world thing. That was great. It was being replayed last night as there were like a lot of very fitting and appropriate tributes to Bill Walton. But yeah, I mean, there seemed to be no indication that this was. I hadn't heard anything about it. I don't know about you, Libby, but I did not know. And
Oh
in
no,
fact, when I saw that the cause of death was cancer, I thought,
no, that makes sense. But it
when
was
did
like,
Bill
oh,
Walton
you've
have
heard it.
cancer? I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess people might have known about it, but I certainly didn't. Anyway, that was a sad development over the weekend, as was the suicide of golfer Grayson Murray. Grayson Murray, who was just in a tournament on Friday, withdrew, said he wasn't feeling well, and then turns up dead and had taken his own life. A very sad story because. And it seemed like he was extremely well liked by many players. They were absolutely beside themselves with grief upon hearing this news. And sure enough, I mean, guy that supposedly had turned everything around. He had had struggles with alcoholism. He had won a tournament in I think his rookie season, and then had been on the tour for several years. And he finally broke through again and won his second tournament in Hawaii this year. Seemed to be doing pretty well. Was close to the point where he was getting annual exemptions without having to go back and forth on the Corn Ferry Tour or whatever. And was getting married. Supposedly was very happy. And the next thing you know, he's gone. So another strange story over the weekend. Grayson Murray, who I wasn't familiar with really until, unfortunately, this happened. But yeah, very bizarre development in the world of golf. All right, much to do here on the program. We have some predictions to make and some analysis to give. So stick with us here. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. Peel yourself off the mat. Tuesday edition of the program. The Panthers tonight, home ice. $75. If you get by the $75 parking fee, well, what's it cost now to go to a game?
I don't know.
Two
It's in
people
the
could it
hundreds.
cost? Could it set you back close to a dime to
It's
go
in
to
the
a hockey game?
hundreds for shitty seats. It's in the hundreds. Yeah. I mean, look, it's the Rangers. Everyone wants to see. That's the funny thing is if they win and get to the Stanley Cup, the tickets will like plummet because no one cares about
Oh yeah,
Vancouver or Dallas. Like, or
that was
Edmonton.
weird. I mean, how loud! I couldn't believe it. I didn't see the screen. I heard the crowd go nuts on the overtime goal. And I came around the corner there, and I thought, "Wow, the Panthers pulled it out." God bless them. They were down, looked like they were finished in this game.
Yep.
And I turn around, and I see the Rangers are jumping up and down. I'm like, wait a minute!
Yeah, well,
The reaction from the crowd. Were there that many Ranger fans there? Because
I don't think it's to that degree, but when it's quiet and you hear cheering, it sounds fucking loud.
they went nuts.
There's enough, and it's not zero. I mean, there's a lot of Ranger fans down here that don't go up to New York to watch games.
What kind of fugazi sports town is this, Lubie?
I don't know.
Where your home arena, I mean, it's kind of like the disgrace that was going on in Philadelphia when the Philadelphia 76ers were playing the Knicks this year. And the entire Philadelphia arena was filled with nothing but Knicks fans. But this happens every series. The Bruins, same thing. Rangers, okay, you can anticipate it with all the displaced New Yorkers that are here. People that lived in New York, grew up in New York, still, live and breathe New York, are still looking for a New York-style pizza place. Can you tell me to find an authentic New York-style pizza? Where can I find it? In New York. That's where you find it. Other than that, you're eating a Florida pizza that's trying to be a New York pizza, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's like a zillion extrapolations on what was considered to be. I mean, does a New York pizza even stack up with all the different variations that are out there, Lubie? You
my
get to
favorite.
sample quite a few. Yeah.
It's my favorite. A really good slice of New York pizza is my favorite pizza. I'm not.
I can't remember the last time I had one. I mean, that
I agree with
greasy
mayo. Exactly.
stuff, yeah.
I agree with mayo. I'm open to all of them, and
Yeah.
I enjoy bread, cheese, and sauce. I mean, as long as the sauce isn't horrendous, I'll eat it. But a really nice slice of New York style pizza is still my go-to.
Did you eat a lot of those? Who put those out? The
Used to
French
kill.
bread pizzas. Remember the
Oh,
frozen ones?
when I was little, my mom used to make them. I used to love those.
You
Those were pretty
couldn't
solid.
help but burn the shit out of the roof of your mouth every time you had one of those. No, they had
Yeah.
to be in the oven for like an hour and a half
Yeah,
at
because it would get
450.
crispy. Yeah, it had to be in the oven forever to make it crispy. Because of that, you always burn your fucking mouth every time.
Was it Stofers who put that out? Stofers?
I think there was a Stouffer's, and
It
there was
was in a
another.
red box. Yeah, you used to get two of them, and you had to debate whether you're going to make both of them at the same time. Imagine you're eating like a whole loaf of French bread. It was
100%.
it had been frozen with a bunch of shit piled on it. All right, we're coming back with more here on the Defo Show. Lots to do. You got baskets tonight, also, right? With the Dallas Mavericks going against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Probably close out their series. Yes.
Close would be the key word there, as
Yeah.
you have two of the best closers in basketball on the same
That's what
team.
we're saying. And that the T-Wolves to me are the more talented team, and they've been in the series. It's not like they're getting blown out. I mean,
Yeah.
outside of one game, but they just can't close. They're
Can't
again
close.
the
Same
T-Wolves
thing
and
as the Pacers.
Look, the Pacers lost Halliburton, so I think they would have gotten a game or two with Halliburton because they were up big enough in those last two games that they probably would have held on, and not having him was just too much for them to overcome. But they are young, and that's what we saw in game one. And that's a T-Wolves to me. And we saw that with the Thunder, like the young teams, it just takes some time. And both Kyrie and Luka have been here before. Luka's been to a conference finals. Kyrie's hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history to win a finals. And that's what you're seeing with this team. It's interesting to me. I didn't think it would work, and last year it didn't look like it would work. But now that we talk about it, now that Kyrie's focused on basketball, it's hard to stop both of them all the time. Like one of them seems to emerge at all times in every game.
It is amazing the transformation of Kyrie Irving from a guy that every time you saw him, you're thinking, "What an asshole." To now, I mean, he's sitting down on the post-game show. He seems completely likable. A guy that you can understand. He's not saying anything weird, as we say. I mean, he's not handing out copies of Mein Kampf.
Nope.
None of these strange theories. No Earth is flat.
Nope.
Not getting in any controversy. And you know what? I thought it was a disaster when Mark Cuban embraced the idea of getting Kyrie Irving.
100%.
I thought, if anything, he was not only going to completely dismantle whatever team chemistry that the Mavericks possess, but also probably end up being the ruination of Luka Doncic.
The Heat had a chance to get him. The Heat wanted him, and he wanted to come to the Heat. And all of us as Heat fans are like, no way. Like the one thing
Nobody
have,
wanted this guy.
we
James
get
Harden
along.
would have been more appealing. No?
Yeah, it was like the Harden thing, but worse because at least Harden played. He just fucks around. Like Irving wasn't playing. Like he was fucking being weird. And it was like, I mean, he's allowed to do that, but I don't want him on my fucking team. Like, I don't want him dismantling what we have. Like, that's the one thing that he'd have is that they get along and they play well together. Like, I don't want to fuck with that. And that's what he did. The Mavs got worse with him last year. Like, they went from being like a 5 seed to being like an 8 or a 9. And the second part of this year, they just clicked, and Irving's shutting the fuck up and playing basketball. And again, I don't tell guys to do that, but he's a guy that definitely seemed to need it, and it's friggin' working. They're going to be in the finals, and they win their second title.
Pretty impressive, yeah. I guess the move that still stands out, I can see it. That little dipsy doodle thing that Luka Doncic was doing when he had Rudy Gobert on him, and you thought, wow, this is great. You have the leading scorer in the NBA going against the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, one-on-one, but with the game on the line, and he twisted him into it was one of those. What was that game called? Twister, where you used to have like one foot in the red and the hand in the blue circle.
Yes. It was like Twister. Yep.
Man, he turned him into a human pretzel. This guy, he's just spinning like a dreidel, and then put the shot in on top of that, which was pretty remarkable. So, yeah, that's the big differential in that series so far. Doncic and Kyrie Irving down the stretch versus the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have gone into kind of pacer mode. If you tracked all the turnovers in the game, I guess if you just calculated what was going on in the last 4 or 5 minutes of those Pacers Celtics games, the Pacers must have had the majority. I would have believed they had 30 or 40% of their turnovers in the last couple of minutes of those 4 games. So till June 6th, the Celtics will be on ice. They get your man back, probably Porzingis at that time.
Yeah,
and they're probably going to need every bit of it against either Dallas or Minnesota, which it appears.
It'll be Dallas.
Is it safe to go ahead and put all of your money that you have in your possession
Minnesota
right
may
now?
win tonight because again, it's not the last 2 games they should have won, and they just fell apart at the end. So they'll probably get a game, I guess. But the Dallas Mavericks are winning that series. I mean, it's 3-0.
How ominous is it down 3-0? We saw the Heat, and the Celtics last year, where
Yeah, they pushed it.
and it comes up all the time that no one has ever rebounded in a postseason from a 3-0 deficit. Nobody in NBA history. That's incredible.
Well, this young team's not going to be it. I mean, look, they shouldn't be down 3-0. That's the thing. They haven't been dominated. They just can't close, and that's the sign of the youth. It's the same thing with the Pacers. Again, the young teams, it takes time to figure out how the fuck to not shit yourself in these moments, and it's not happening this year. Like, it's not against the Mavs. I mean, I thought they'd win the series just because they were the better team, but my concern was if the games are close, does the youth factor get in the way? And that's sort of what we've seen.
Yeah. I'm going to have dead songs going in my head all day long. I'm not sure which one. Most people would say, what? If you said, give me a line from a Grateful Dead song, they would immediately go to Riding That Train, High on Cocaine. No? Is that inappropriate when you're talking about a man's death? Start referencing cocaine, which would you imagine? I don't know. Was Bill Walton? I can't see him being much of a coke user, but I could certainly see him on some of those Aaron
Rodgers. He was on acid.
Shrooms.
I think he did shrooms. I think he did acid. I mean, I don't think he did.
If he was traveling with the dead, you would imagine that he did most everything.
Yeah. I mean, weed was a staple, and I think he did acid and shrooms. I think he was very big in hallucinogenics. I mean, he didn't hide that. Again, that's why I think the Wooden and him thing.
Very odd pairing, yes.
As anyone, and like the stories are classic. Like Walton and him first, of course, didn't get along. They eventually loved each other, but he was always diametrically opposed to how Wooden acted. Now, Wooden was very open-minded in his social beliefs, but
he was there at a time of great change, also, Lubie.
And he was open to it. Like Wooden was open to it, but the way he acted and dressed and looked was very
well. Yeah, I mean, while he's out there with some Vietnam War, Wooden's walking by in a military uniform, trying to hide the fact that he just picked up a suitcase full of cash from Sam Gilbert.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to come back with more. Good being with you here. Peel Yourself Off the Mat Tuesday edition of the program. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz, thanks for joining us. And we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that. It's 8:41. Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. Make the right choice for your home. Call Choice Mortgage today.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, astrophysicist extraordinaire, with us here on 940 Wins, 1230 The Zone, and around the world on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you do a lot of podcasting, and you're very diverse in the things that you cover, including one with basketball star Kyrie Irving. You know, we picture Kyrie Irving lighting incense and chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. What was it like? I mean, the conversation with Kyrie Irving, especially in matters of astronomy.
Here's the thing with Kyrie Irving. So as you may know, and of course, if you knew that much about him, you would know that for a while there, he was a big fan of the flat earth. And so my response to that is, by the way, we care about Kyrie Irving because he's good at basketball. So people say, oh, you should not talk about a flat earth. And I'm saying, I don't care if Kyrie Irving wants a flat Earth. He's a basketball player. There's plenty of jobs you can have in this world while you think Earth is flat. Just don't let the head of NASA be among them, right? Just you live in a free country. You should be able to say what you want. And so I wasn't as distracted as other people were. I don't get my science from Kyrie Irving, and I'm not going to get basketball lessons from the head of NASA, period. So that's how I look at it.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo joined by Lubie on The Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show on this fine Tuesday. Glad you guys are with us. I hope you had a magnificent Memorial Day weekend. Fucking hot outside here in South Florida, no
What
doubt.
the fuck? And it's not raining. That's the annoying thing. Usually, if the weather changes and it's hot, at least we get rain every day.
Yeah.
So that cools it off a little.
Zero
it's
rain.
hot as fuck, humid
Yeah.
as hell, like midsummer, and it's not raining. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on. It started to freak me out.
I could never get these onto Skippy Dog because he's not inclined to, allow people to pamper him or whatever, or do things with him. But those little shoes that dogs get so they can walk on the pavement. Have you ever thought about that?
No, my
Man,
dog
'cause,
doesn't
I
do
mean, the
so.
pavement's got to be scorching for these mutts
My dog
going
just-
out there, right? I feel terrible. It's only a few feet to the turf course for me with Skippy Dog, who likes to go for walks, but yeah, real rough out there, especially when it doesn't rain, right? Usually you can wait for the rain to come 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then
Yep.
it's safe to take the dog out like 4:30,
Yep.
5 o'clock. But yeah, real rough on the animals. So be careful. And then saw a picture somebody took of a person who left a dog in a car with just a window
No.
cracked.
No.
What the fuck are you thinking, people?
No.
Either leave the dog at home or bring it with you. But to leave it in the car like that when it's 1,000 degrees. Just absolutely criminal activity. All right, a couple of things. You know what? We're sometimes way ahead of our time in our theories, and often because you are, these theories are mocked. I've been saying this for years. I mean, I can't tell you, at least 25, 30 years, I've been a proponent of the idea that enough already with this supposed cloak of amateurism that is
yeah.
hovering over college sports. And then we went away from that. The departure was name, image, and likeness. But now they've taken the next step, which is because of lawsuits and because of the greed and avarice of the people that are running these institutions and the NCAA, that they were attacked in courts in massive lawsuits, many of them, and finally had to settle and agree to make colleges accountable for paying athletes now, in addition to a $2.8 billion settlement that will be divided among the, I don't know, are there like 14,000 people are involved in this class action suit? But that notwithstanding, it certainly is going to change the landscape of what's going on, or is it, Lubie? Because we said years ago, why not just stop with this nonsense, this whole whole farce that's being kind of put over on the American public that this is an amateur sport? Why not just declare and these kids going to class supposedly and being eligible, even though they haven't attended, they wouldn't be able to find the quad with a GPS device. and it's great. And we used to have people like our good friend Tony Segreto will be on with us tomorrow defending, well, they get an education. It's like bullshit, Tony. They're raising billions of dollars, and many of them are not even inclined to leave the dorm room unless it's to go out and buy some drugs or whatever. Not to condemn people that were doing this, but they were very deserving. The rules of the NCAA and all of this amateurism business, those rules were made, as we said, in the Stone Age.
Yep.
Long before regional cable systems and ACC networks and all of these different things came into existence, where what do they starve for? Content. They can't wait. They're bending over backwards to pay these people to provide them with games that they can broadcast so that they can provide the entertainment they need to keep up with the rest of the distributors of such programming. So the money became exorbitant. I mean, it was an astronomical, speaking of Neil deGrasse Tyson, astronomical increase in the amount of money that was coming in, being generated by these athletes. Did they not deserve to get paid if you were a 19-year-old physicist, Lubie? I mean, this was an illusion that was often referenced. If you were a protege, or a child prodigy of whatever discipline it is, whether you were a piano player, some kind of scientist, somebody that was good at devising things for the internet, you would be compensated handsomely for your expertise. So why wouldn't it apply to 20-year-old athletes who are generating money like that in a professional system? But I thought way back, right? Shouldn't all college sports, especially basketball and football, just be declared professional enterprises, subject to whatever professional business standards and parameters that were going to be administered over any other business, and that the athletes should be paid appropriately? And then there would be no business of cheating and investigations and all of this stuff. Although I
It'll
guess it's
still
going to
happen.
come to that anyway.
It'll still happen. Right? Look, the reality is, and Brian just said it's sad. It's not. There's not going to be.
What do you think is going to happen, though, Lubie? Is that
I don't know.
Gonna...
I haven't. It's funny. I forgot about that. It was released Friday, and there's so much going on this weekend, capped off by the sad news of Bill Walton's passing.
Yeah.
That I forgot about it, and I haven't heard anything about it really. So I don't know what the definitive, like, is it the NCAA? Is it the schools? Will they have to pay? How will they pay? Will they be is it more off the NIL stuff? Like, is it in that vein? There's an 8. Like, look, just the
Seems
idea
to be separate from NIL, though, doesn't it? Where the schools now are going to have a budget, apparently, and
they can
have to dole out some kind of either percentage of revenues or whatever to actually just have college players on the payroll.
Look, there won't be a delineation now from pros and college, but that was only for fans. Like, if you followed the sport, like from a business standpoint, they were not different. The college TV contracts aren't that different than the NFL TV contracts.
No.
And it's been for years now. It's been billions with a B of dollars for years now. It's just what it is. It's sad from a fan standpoint. It won't be the same thing with recruiting, and it's just a whole different game. I totally admit that, and it's sad. But the reality is, from the player standpoint, from the actual business standpoint of it, it's been like this for years. The only difference was they weren't giving the people bleeding and sweating money. So it was a fucking joke. So from an employment standpoint, from an equality standpoint, it was a load of garbage. And it was indentured servitude. It was. And anyone who fights that it wasn't slavery. They got something out of it, but it was indentured servitude. They were not getting what anyone else doing what they do would get. And
no difference than a sweatshop making Nike sneakers in China.
100%.
Some
If
ways,
you are if you go to college on a music scholarship,
should have had Kathy Lee Gifford as the commissioner of the NCAA.
No, it's the truth. If you go to college on a music scholarship, which happens, you then are also in a band, or you become big on TikTok. You get both. You get the scholarship, and you get paid shitloads of fucking money for doing music. Sure. Sometimes you eventually leave and pursue it, or you do both. In sports, you couldn't. Sports, you were just getting the scholarship, and that's all you were. You couldn't even get a job just to make money. No. Like, it was a fucking joke. And again, it's sad. I'm a huge college sports fan. I've been a college sports fan, basketball and football my entire life. So it's sad, but that doesn't mean it was right. It is what it is. Like,
how is this? I mean, people were saying, and not necessarily with any foundation in truth, but they were saying this is it. That's the end. That's going to ruin the game. It'll never be the same. I tend to agree with you. I think it's the same as it's always been, except instead of the university or the various entities that are sanctioning bodies, which would it still be the NCAA or whatever, the commissioner of the league making a fortune? Now all of a sudden the players are going to share the wealth and be paid directly by the university. I thought it was a big deal. I never forget when they handed me the first time when I was a freshman at the Cuse, and a guy came around to the dorm room, knocked on the door, and he handed me an envelope, and it had $15 in cash in it, Lubie. And I thought, what the fuck is this? And then my roommate said, that's called laundry money. They give you $15 a month to be on any team. Whatever team you were on, you got $15 a month. It was great. And I was thinking, wow, it was enormous back then. But I mean, imagine how that opened itself to all kinds of illegal, slush money payments and things of that. Now, I don't want to mention hush money because that's going to be very much in the news today. Well, what do you think there, hung jury?
Oh, I mean,
10-2 guilty.
there's literally no
Hungarian.
evidence. All I've heard, I haven't watched any of it. All I've heard is that his team sucks, and all they are doing is pissing off the judge more than proving anything. But we're in a weird fucking world. Look,
They put on literally no defense except that Michael Cohen's full of shit.
Like they haven't even tried to defend him. They know he's guilty. He knows he's guilty.
Well, you know what's funny? They were screaming that the incarcerated accountant, CPA of the Trump organization there, what's his name? Like Wasserman Schultz or something? I don't know. Weinstein. It's something like that.
I don't follow.
But and he's doing like 5 months in a federal clink for perjury or whatever. And the defense team is now screaming, why didn't the prosecution call this guy as a witness? And then I'm thinking, well, why didn't you call him as a witness if he was going to verify your opinion and give you the evidence that you needed to prove that Trump knew nothing about this? But
I mean, the whole thing's a joke.
Yeah.
The fact that he literally is leading some polls, he's on.
It's amazing to me. It's confounding.
Look, and I get it. Biden looks old, but I find it. When I watch both of them speak, Biden doesn't look old. Like there's this new thing Bill Maher is saying, and Bill Maher still leans left, even though he's become a lot more conservative. Well, the thing is, Trump looks stronger and Biden looks weak. No, he doesn't. I feel like that's a fucking, when they use the term false narrative, that's
Trump looks confused, if anything.
Trump doesn't look stronger.
Yeah.
He looks worse than he's ever. Oh, Trump hasn't aged at all. If that's true, it's only because
he looks like shit
then. It's only because he looked like shit then. It's not because he hasn't. Biden looks the same he looked too, whether it was Biden was old or not. Like, I'm not a Biden defender.
You could see senility in his eyes, though.
I don't know. Biden looks old and senile. I'm not fighting that. No one, his own wife wouldn't fight that.
Senile or evil? Which would you rather have? I would say senile.
Trump looks senile too. At least Biden stays on topic. Even when he's hominin, he stays on the topic. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't rant and go off fucking deep ends. Trump never stays on a topic. Trump doesn't say anything coherent ever. And then he just, now this is his new thing where he'll just nod off. They're both bad candidates. No one's saying.
I wouldn't mind if he just fell asleep and was seen.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up. This idea that, well, Trump is, even though he sucks, at least he looks stronger. And what? Being insane?
And elect Schwarzenegger president or whatever. Make some considerations there because he wasn't born in the States. But
stupid.
It's funny because I'm watching. What was he being interviewed about his policy about the what was it, the abortion pill? Oh no, just birth control in general.
Yes,
Trump. And he's on his own network there, the Fox News network, and he's saying, "Well, you know what? We're going to have a policy on that. It's coming up pretty soon, and you're going to find it interesting."
What side? What person? I know super religious people. I've never heard anyone in everyday life go, you know what? Those fucking birth control. Like, who gives a shit about birth control? Who wants more humans in this fucking fucked up ass world? Like, it's just it's literally like a fucking sketch from like Family Guy or
Unbelievable.
The Simpsons. Like the whole thing is just so like I don't even. I'm resigned to the fact it's going to be crazy either way. Either Biden wins, and then they're going to fucking do the January 6th shit again, but worse. Where he wins, and then we won't have a country anymore. Like it's so
he wins.
Weird.
I do have to consider. I know actors have said this, and they've been lampooned for it. Could be time to move to Bogota.
Somewhere. I mean, he's openly telling you he's going to ruin the country.
The beach house in Bayamon might be the move. Yeah.
I wish for you. I'm jealous
that's
of
still
you.
U.S. territory, my friend.
We just got a fucking house. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Where are we going? Like, we're fucked. We're here. This is where we are. It's annoying. It's fucking
that may be time to consider just packing it in, traveling the world, and living very cheaply in a foreign country. All right. What, Lubie? What are you going to predict on the? You like the Panthers tonight? I would tend to think that they win tonight, wouldn't you? Which is not good for the people out there that are Panther fans.
Look, they've outplayed the Rangers. I don't care what. My buddy as a Ranger fan is like, wow, what a series. The only reason they won is they had the best goalie in the world, and that's probably true. Shesterkin is a guy that can will you victories, and Bobrovsky for the most part isn't. But the Panthers have been the better team, so you would hope at some point that finds its way to be true. We'll see. I don't know. Hockey is such a weird fucking sport. It's just, you can play your ass off. You can literally dominate. Look, they did in overtime. If you watch the overtime, the first 4.5 minutes, they held the puck the whole time. The puck never left their offensive zone. They were getting nice opportunities and they were throwing it at the net. and they weren't even close to getting it in. The Rangers didn't get one shot the first 4.5 minutes. They get one offensive thing. That wasn't even a shot. The guy throws it in the middle of the ice. Their defense is totally off. The guy hits his fucking stick and accidentally goes in. Like, it's just a weird fucking
he had
score.
no idea he was going to score a winning goal. Literally, the guy had one goal. I think he signed with the Rangers, was acquired by them in March or something. And that was his first goal, second goal as a Ranger. The other one probably was an accident, too. But I don't know why I'm sensing Panther domination tonight, evening up the series at 2-2. And I'm expecting both of those hockey series to be 2-2 after 4 games. So we'll see what happens. And then Dallas, did they close it out tonight, Lubie? What do you think? Did they put Minnesota out of its misery?
Yeah.
Because they've been right there in every game, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Really good upstart team. I thought they were going to beat the Mavericks in this series. They lose the first 2 at home. Then went with the game pretty much even Steven all the way into the final couple of minutes. They end up losing by like 9 points in game 3. And you would have to think the way Doncic is playing and Kyrie Irving is fitting in perfect symmetry with the rest of the team. That might be tough out tonight in Dallas. So possibility then you do have still a possibility alive that Dallas would be in the finals of both the NHL and the NBA playoffs. Pretty remarkable for a city that really, didn't garner that kind of consideration. Will that put the heat up on old Jerry Jones? Or will that pacify the Dallas Cowboy misfits and give them enough relief to make them think, you know what, we can live with another Dak Prescott in the postseason?
I think it's going to be, the one team that spends tons of money, the one team that is the face of this city hasn't won in 30 fucking years.
Yeah.
That's actually very true. Like, I think it puts a fucking a bullseye on their back.
Rangers were in the World Series last year and win it.
Yep. Yeah, they won a World Series.
Imagine that. You could have the Rangers, which, that's Arlington, but close enough.
That's the Dallas area. Yeah, that's their baseball team.
The Stars and the Mavericks all potentially winning championships. And then you have the usual flame out of Dak Prescott to look forward to in the second game of the postseason.
Yeah.
Which that'll be that. All right. We have to run. Does Tua get his money? What do you think? Is that going to happen?
I don't know what's going on with that. The problem for me is guys are getting money that you can't say he's definitively worse than Jared Goff at this point. And Ken, the professor, and so we can bring this up Friday with him, he had an interesting take. It's not that Tua is better or worse than those guys. It's the conference those guys are in. The NFC is so sort of that you have a chance if you're a Lions. You have a chance if you're a Packers to break through. The AFC is going to go through the Chiefs until Patrick Mahomes dies, as he put it. So, like, to pay Tua to be at best second, but probably fourth in your own conference, like, why? But to me, okay, what is the alternative?
What options do they have?
What is the alternative? Like, you've struggled to get a quarterback for this long. You can have your issues with his injuries and he doesn't will you games, whatever you want. The guy's the best quarterback they've had since Marino, and it's by a lot. He was an MVP candidate the last 2 years. Like, to me, what are you doing? Like, you're just fucking around now. And it's like, okay, to see Jordan Love, who had literally didn't play at all and had 5 games. Like, he's now considered a top 5 quarterback because of 6 games. Jared Goff, who was forgotten and was a throw-in in a trade to many people's estimation, is now getting $50+ million a year. And yes, he took the Lions of all teams to the conference championship. Fine. Tua's also had the Dolphins in the playoffs back-to-back years and has been an MVP candidate. There's something the Dolphins haven't had in fucking 30 years. So, or 25 years. I don't know what they're doing. I think all you're going to do is piss him off by look, he's on the 5th year. He's not a franchise tag. I figure they get it done because otherwise it's a waste. Like, you're going to have drafted him and then let him go. Or I guess they can franchise tag him, but then he's going to want to trade or going to be pissed. Like, why would you do that? Like, the guy's done everything you've asked. He's now lost weight. People say he gained weight. He's now lost weight. He's working with a fucking quarterback coach to be more mobile. And like, what quarterback has done any of these things? Like, he's every offseason.
And you think about like Daniel Jones getting $40 million a year from the Giants.
You can't say Tua's not better than him.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, I don't know. I actually feel for the guy, and he don't need to. He's making lots of money. He's very happy. He's doing what he dreams, but he's doing everything the team asks. Like, it's rare to see a guy do everything a team asks. He gets better every year, which he has, and they're like, I don't know.
All right. It's a big investment, though. I mean, think about it.
It is.
Huge change, yeah.
I don't think it's an open and shut case. Even I will say that. Look, the injury thing is real. He had one healthy season. You hold that against him.
And the question you have to ask yourself, is he good enough to get you where you want to be, which obviously would be a championship level?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I don't know that one's. I mean, he hasn't won one, so you could say it's been answered. But I don't know that he's established that it would be inconceivable that he would end up winning a championship. Hey, the other thing, speaking of champions, wow, a first round exit, tough draw there for Rafael Nadal. French Open is underway, and he draws the number 4 seed, Alexander Zverev, who had just won in Rome on the red clay and has staged a marvelous comeback from that hideous ankle injury. Was that at last year's French Open or 2 years ago? I
feel
think
like
it
it
might
was
have
2
been.
years ago, but maybe last year. I don't know.
Yeah, because Zverev has come back and he's having a great season. Almost an impossible draw for Rafa in the first round, and so he made his exit, and it did seem like that was going to be it, huh? Not necessarily that he doesn't play anymore this year, but maybe not after that. And when you're getting those kind of results, it's one thing to see like the geezers at Caesars, and it was sort of an enjoyable match to watch. Andy Murray against Stan Wawrinka, who, by the way, Lubie, I mean that one-handed backhand of Wawrinka might be up there with one of the great shots that anyone's ever had of all time in terms of strokes. You would say what? Ray Allen in basketball for the
Oh yeah,
three-point shot,
yep.
perfect form. There were other guys
Ken
that had
Griffey
perfect form.
Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. as a left-handed swing was as beautiful a swing as you'd ever see. There's
Freddie Couples, I always talked about.
Couples, was smooth.
Didn't even look like he was, swinging at all. All of a sudden, he's hitting an 8-iron, 210 yards at 60. You're like, it doesn't even look like he's swinging. But the Stan Wawrinka one-handed backhand might be one of the great shots that anyone's ever possessed in all of sports. So kind of interesting to see that matchup. But Rafa couldn't have drawn Murray like in an old-timers match in the first round, so he'd have half a chance. Ends up going against Zverev, and that was it. Quick exit from the French Open. But what a great champion. Unbelievable. And it wasn't like he got smoked. He was in there, but just didn't quite have enough. He lost the second set, and you thought that at that point you may as well throw the flowers in the punch. All right, we got to run. Thanks so much for being with us. You guys are what, drifting up to Palm Beach today?
Yeah, fucking.
You and Mike Mayo schlepping?
Thank you, Sarney. Sarney kept talking about Palm Beach, so we brought it up to the great Eddie Pizzoli, and he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I was like, "Oh, you said yes to that." Okay.
Oh, geez, man. All right.
Yay.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, so don't worry about heading up there. We'll be there. Eddie,
it'll be tough to make it there, that's for sure.
We'll have a
In time for the
chef,
show.
and-
All right, so that's 1 o'clock. You can catch Lubie and Mike Mayo today.
Yes.
And Mayo returning from what looked like a fast food festival that he had in Tallahassee. That was pretty crazy. I mean, but did he really go to like 2 places consecutively? Where he was eating some kind of shitty looking burger, and then he was at another place like shortly after that?
Yeah, the Guthrie's. That's what it was. He did the burger that they didn't cook to order, even though it was a burger place, which I find weird. And then he went to what is the tentpole place in Tallahassee for most people. I know they have nice restaurants now, but Guthrie's, which was probably, I think, the forerunner of the chicken finger restaurant. Now you have Zaxby's, you have PDQ, you have all these places. Guthrie's in Tallahassee, and then they had one in Gainesville, Florida, and I think they have one in Gainesville, Georgia. Was a regional chain, and it's huge in Tallahassee, and he went there.
2 places I'm likely to never be again unless one of the grandkids ends up at the University of Florida. And I don't know that I'll be around to see that. So hopefully we will. Anyway, regards, to Bill Walton's
yes, that was
friends, family, and wow. I mean, what a tremendously influential basketball guy he was. And he really was the big fundamental before Tim Duncan. Talk about fundamentally sound. Just amazing. No wonder Wooden loved him. All right, Lubie, you have a great day, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks so much for tuning in,
Yes.
and everybody have a terrific day out there, getting the week started. Last week of May, already into June. Unreal, Lubie. The time is flying by, and we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 9:08.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.